Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to be analyzing the Donetsk front. We'll start right next to Donetsk at the military base that is being stormed by the Russian soldiers. As we can see, there are patches of forests on these long sides here. Most likely the Russians are attacking from this side as it has better cover, as well as the fact that the Ukrainians have actually built a trench system here to the east of it, as this is where the Russian front line was. However, with the Russian advances to the west, they're able to outflank these trenches and get a better position at attacking it. Right next to it we have the village of Upitne, and here we see that there are these lakes. So most likely we're seeing some kind of multi-sided attack where the Russians are going to be focusing on occupying this forested area here, as it'll give them a foothold in this village and allow them to attack wherever they want with cover from the forested area. However, most likely the Ukrainians are already occupying this position as their main defensive line in this village. So it will be a tough forest fighting in this area. But most likely they've been moving up from the eastward side towards the village. Further to the west we have Bodian. Again, most likely they're going for this forest patch here, as it allows them to get a foothold on attacking the village. With how the Ukrainians have been preparing a defense here, it's most likely going to be at the other side of this open field, as it allows the Ukrainians to set up defensive positions and attack any Russians storming the area from the south. However, it is also possible, depending on how far the Russians have reached, that the Ukrainian defenses are actually around here in this area that the Russians actually want to take. The significance of this area is the fact that it is within range of Russian mortar. So if they take this area, they can actually bombard this village with their mortar as well. But also there's this patch of houses to the east of it, meaning that if they actually connect to this forest line and advance to the northeast, they'll be able to essentially cut off this village area from the village itself. And by pushing from the east as well, they're able to cut it off as well. So most likely they'll be trying something like that, as we see them try to take control of the southern side of these lakes as a defensive position. The reason I say that is if we look further north, there are all of these forested areas that can be used by the Ukrainians to ambush their Russians and allies. So most likely we'll either see a Russian advance soon, or they will wait until the leaves start falling and it will be easier for them to use their heavy equipment to advance, after which they will try and go for village after village to make best use of their advantages, which will also allow them to encircle Avdiivka. Now further west we see that the Russians are also attacking Nevelske, which is this small village around here. Not sure what this is, could possibly be... These buildings look to be greenhouses, so most likely they aren't being used for anything. However, the forested area is a little thicker here, so they may have defensive positions next to it. But other than that, taking this village is the last one in this whole open area. So most likely we'll see them try to push towards the lake to the north, which will allow them to connect and attack along the river line or the lakes to encircle the villages in this area. As we can see here, there is this long road of houses. This will be challenging for the Russians to take over, as it allows the Ukrainians to set up positions every once in a while where they can launch artillery from. But this is only if the Ukrainians actually have artillery in the area. It seems that they have focused most of their equipment around Izium as well as Mykolaiv. But yeah, generally it'll be a slow process up here as well. Further south we have Krasnohorivka, which is actually a large I would call this a city because it's so large. And the way they need to take this is by connecting to the northern side, as there's a lake here as well, and then connecting to the southern one here, which will allow the Ukrainians an escape down the middle road. However, as you can see, it is a very open area, which means that the Russians can actually set up artillery positions to the south and north of these lakes, which will allow them to bombard the retreating Ukrainians. If they don't retreat, then they can connect the attack by attacking Maximilianivka and connect to the south by crossing the lake here and threaten the Ukrainian position in the city. As I mentioned, this is an open area. Them trying to retreat will be very costly. But by taking this village area around the lake, it will allow the Russians to set up firing positions for them to slowly close in on the city, as well as cut off its supplies around here by advancing from the south. This way they will be encircled and they will not be able to receive supplies, so it will be just a matter of time for them to surrender. Further south we see a push towards Povieda. This is most likely to cut this road, but also give an opportunity to go and outflank the positions at Marinka, as it is very heavily fortified and the Ukrainians are holding heavily onto it. Then they can connect it to the lake here and prevent an escape. With the Russian advances here in the north, they can actually connect and outflank the Marinka defenders at Ukrainian defenders at Marinka. Finally, in the southern front, we see how in and around Vuhledar, the Russians are actually advancing to this area, which allows them to cut off the defenders and take up this position here, which will allow them to have a high ground and a viewpoint over this whole area, which will allow them to spot any Ukrainians trying to fall back, and also be a good position to have cover next to it to set up a military base and a spot for the UAVs to fly from to have a better aerial overview of this area. Further south, we see how they're actually pushing everywhere, which actually means that most likely they're also pushing down this middle part to flank on either side of the front line, whichever they see an opportunity in. With how they have actually taken Zolotaniva, they may be looking for something like this to cut off this village down here and then push for Novoukrayinka. A different possibility is that they're actually trying to push for a push along the roads to the north and the east, to the west, which will actually allow them to cut off all of this whole area by going down these areas. However, this is risky as it will allow them to be attacked on two fronts, but then again, depends on the Russian capability at flanking, with how there are these lakes to the north and how the fighting is mainly around this area. It will force the Ukrainians to choose between cutting this off and giving up this area or defending this area. So they're giving the Ukrainians a hard choice, and they can always pull back because they are outmaneuvering the Ukrainians. So generally we see Russia with the upper hand here, with how they have multiple options and they're always able to just pull back, while the Ukrainians are in a position where if they pull back they lose something, and if they stay they lose something. So as I see it now, Ukraine is in a lose-lose position while Russia is in a win-win position. That's it for this analysis. Thanks for watching and have a great day.